All right, guys, so let's take a look at equations. So, sorry, I was trying to get this first thing bigger. All right, there we go. So, so the first one is equations in words. So sometimes we can see something like this. So it says, I still would like it to be a little bigger. 7 more than 3 times the number is equal to 70. Find the number. Okay, so a lot of times it helps just to kind of think this out. So let me get a pen too. Okay, so it says 7 more. And so when I see that more, I'm thinking plus. Okay, so 7 more than 3 times a number. Right? And then when I see 3 times means multiply, yeah? So 3 times a number, okay? When I see that number, that means a variable like x, okay? So 3 times a number, 3x. Let's write that one in there. Okay, 7 more than, right? Plus 7 more than is equal to, so that's going to be equal sign, yeah? Equals 70. Okay, sometimes these can take some practice, and that's really what the app is there for, right? Is to give you lots of practice and then feedback on how to go about setting something up like this, right? Sometimes when you watch somebody else do it, it looks easy, and then you do it, and then it's not as easy. Okay, so from here, we just need to get the x by itself. Now we would have 3x, 70 minus 7 is 63. Divide each side by 3. And 63 divided by 3 is 21. And then that's our answer. Okay, so again, like those are the keys or those words that I circled then, right? So if you see more than, that you're thinking plus. If you see less than, minus. Okay, 3 times a number. When I saw times, then I'm thinking 3x. That's a variable. Okay, that's how we go about doing that one. Can take a little bit of practice. But nothing you can't handle, right? And let's get rid of that. And let's go text mode and get rid of this thing. All right. What do we have next? Let me flip to my next piece of paper. All right. Proportions. Okay. So with this one, I like to draw this one better. Okay. So proportions, you see something like this. X divided by 5 equals 15, let's say. Okay, so you see something like that, and then it says solve for x. Okay, and so whenever you have like a number like this in the denominator, right, the bottom part of the fraction, is we want to get rid of it. So how do we get rid of it? We multiply it by itself. Okay, so we multiply by 5 over 1, or just 5, right? And so when you do this, just so you can kind of see it, right, or multiplying these two together, is these 5s are going to cross each other out, and then we're just left with x. That's why that works out. Right, and then we'll got to do it over here too, right? 15 times 5, and 15 times 5 is 75. So if you're somebody who likes to have the reasoning, then you can certainly go through it, but an easier way to remember it is just, you see x over 5, you just multiply it by the denominator. Sometimes it helps to see it twice, right, just with some different numbers in there. So we'll do one more, and then we'll get to the last part. So x over 3 equals 10. Okay, So if I again, this 3 is the denominator, right? And if I multiply each side by 3, that will get x by itself. 10 times 3 is 30. That's our answer. Okay, so that's all you got to do. Multiply by the denominator on both sides, and then and that'll get x by itself, and then you just got to do the multiplication on the right side of the equation. Okay. And we got one more kind of thing. So there was some proportions. This can certainly look weird when we're not used to how to solve them, though. Okay, and then finally, this will be on the test in one form or another. You guys know this formula? Distance equals rate times time. Okay, so we'll go through a problem here. But distance equals rate times time, and so what will always happen in these kind of questions is they're going to give you two of them. Like they'll give you distance and rate and ask you to solve for time or something like that. So let's read this question. So let me just read it first, and then we'll work through it together and kind of read through it and put numbers in. Okay, Mr. Lewis plans to drive 600 miles, Mrs. Lewis, sorry, 600 miles to her vacation destination, driving an average of 50 miles per hour. How many miles per hour faster must she average while driving to reduce her total driving time by 2 hours? Okay, so they want to see how long does it take. So that's a complicated distance equals rate times time question, but we can handle it. So it said at first she drove 600, right? Plans to drive 600 miles to her vacation destination. Okay, so that's how far it is. No matter what we do with how fast she's driving, it's still going to be 600 miles to get there. Okay, the rate that she went. So when you see like miles per hour, that's going to be rate. Okay, and I'll put it in there. 50 mphs. Okay. Okay, so she went, and then they're asking us time, right? Because what they're saying is, okay, so she's planning on driving 600 miles, going 50 miles an hour to get to her vacation destination. And what they want to know is how much faster does she have to drive to do it 2 hours more quickly? Yes? Okay, so what we need to know is how many, so let's look at this. So we have 600 divided by 50. Okay, so that's 50 miles per hour. So this is gonna give us the time if we didn't change anything. Okay, 600 divided by 50 is 12. It'll say H is hours. Okay, so that's how long it would take. 12 hours. The question wants us to figure out 600 miles in 10 hours, right? Because they want to go 2 hours faster. Simple, right? All we're going to do then is 600 miles again. If she needs to do it in 10 hours, equals 60. 60 what? 60 miles per hour. Okay, so that's how you go about solving something like that. And if it got confusing on the distance equals rate times time, okay, is just thinking we solved here for 12 hours, right? And once we knew her trip was 12 hours, we knew she wanted to do it 2 hours more quickly. That got us to 10 hours, right? We already knew the distance was going to be 600. And then we just divide them, and that gets us to 60 miles an hour is the speed she needs to go at to get there in 10 hours. Right? And if you just want to think that out, 60 miles per hour times 10 equals what? So this is, whoops, that's my rate, 60. This is my time, 10. What's 60 times 10? That's going to be our distance, 600. It all works out. Perfect. 60 miles an hour. That's a good answer.